going on there, guys? We back with another one, and we got to talk about JJ Redick calling out Stephen A. Smith and his level of experience playing basketball again. He's done this several times, talking about Stephen A. hasn't played at a high level, so he wouldn't understand what these players go through. And there's an element of that is true, but there's also, Stephen A. has a journalistic side. JJ Redick is kind of tired of them just talking about the Lakers, the Celtics, certain teams all the time. Even though these teams are down to Jokic and Jimmy Butler is shining, they're talking about other franchises more. But Stephen A. reminds JJ that the NBA has always been sold as like individuals. Certain brands just have the upper hand in that sport. Whereas football is more spread out. Even the worst teams has cult followings in the NFL. But we're going to listen to what they had to say. He's going to call out Stephen A. about playing at Winston Salem State. And he's going to talk about them not selling the NBA right. Check it out.
He's coming off year 20, age 38, a long playoff run where he's had to play a ton of minutes with an injury. And it's just human nature that you would begin to say, oh, maybe I'm nearing the end.
Go ahead, Wendy. I mean, I listened to every word JJ just said. I don't understand much of what he just said, but I listen. But go ahead, Wendy.
Well, you didn't play,
you first,
Stephen A.
and then I'll try. Exactly.
You didn't play.
I didn't comprehend. I'm sorry.
You don't understand athletic mortality. 3 games at wherever South Dakota, Winston-Salem State doesn't count.
Yes, I got you. I understand. I got a degree, and I'm here on TV with you. I must be doing something right.
Oh, you're definitely doing things right.
You damn right.
Because we have not done a good job of selling the rest of the NBA. I want to know more about Jimmy Butler. I want to know more about Nikola Jokic. I want to talk about Michael Porter Jr. coming back from multiple back injuries and being a key piece on a finals team. I want to talk about Eric Spoelstra, who has a chance to win a championship with Jimmy Butler. Talk about that. We don't do a good job of selling what the NBA is, which is 30 teams, 450 players, multiple superstars. The fact that people are now being like, oh, I didn't realize Nikola Jokic was good. Well, let's put him on TV more.
JJ Redick. The NBA became what it is because it gravitated to individuality. Even though the Boston Celtics were a great team and the Lakers ultimately were a great team, they sold Magic and Bird. Okay? Michael Jordan comes along. They sold Michael Jordan. And obviously all the names that we don't need to get into followed. They sold the individual. Miami had no problem with popularity, and nobody had a problem seeing Miami in the finals when LeBron was there with D-Wade. Everybody was looking forward to it then. In 2006, before LeBron got there, nobody had a problem with Miami in the finals when they saw D-Wade and Shaq. Okay? So it's really not about the market, it's about the individual. And sometimes when you talk about selling, we talked about, and I know you wasn't pointing the finger at first take, I'm not taking it that way.
Yeah.
But when we talked about the Lakers, right, we also used it as an excuse to talk about Jokic. Jokic was a 2-time league MVP. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows how great he is. But nobody necessarily cared to talk about him. The audience, and far more often than not, tells you what they're interested in. Now, you can talk about it. You can engage in dialogue. You can debate the greatness, or there is no debating the greatness of Jokic. And from a basketball perspective, because obviously you played on an elite level and you were associated with the NBA and knowing the game the way both you and Eminem do, okay, there's a level of appreciation that you have for the purity of the sport and the competition it breeds that should be rewarded. It shouldn't be maligned in any way, especially not by somebody. I'm not where I am today if it were not for the NBA.
These are all great points I'm going to talk about at the end of my video, but we're going to check out Molly interjecting, and JJ Redick is going to say a little bit more about players like Jalen Brunson, that played great all year and got minimal time. That's why I was covering him on my channel, because there is a market out there of people that want to hear about that.
One other thing,
Yeah,
JJ, really quick.
yeah.
For the NFL, it really is comparable, right? I'm on the show year-round with Stephen A. We're still talking about Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
Tom Brady, not anymore, the Cowboys. It's the same thing like it is when we're talking about
Yeah.
the Lakers and things like that,
Well-
regardless of the sport.
Well, so I would pose a question. This is just a question I would pose. I know we got to go to break. This is just a question. Is there a level? Look, and this is why I said this could be a watershed moment, because somebody is going to be the new best player on a championship team. Is there a cycle of self-perpetuation with what we're selling? If the audience is informing us what they want to listen to, and all we're feeding them is the same thing over and over, is there self-perpetuation?
Yeah.
If all we
100%.
do for a 2-month stretch where Jalen Brunson is playing the best of any guard in the NBA outside of Damian Lillard, and we spend 60 seconds on him, 60 seconds, like that's all I'm getting at. That's all I'm getting at, Stephen A.
No, I think you're
we can
right
lead
when
them.
that happens. I think you're right when that happens. But as I said to you weeks ago, sometimes the question itself, that doesn't mean that's what we focus on. It's a license to go where we want to go to be more expansive in our dialogue. This show, I'm very proud of the fact that we do that. We might tease the Lakers and we might tease Boston or somebody, but we get in everything. Look at what you've talked about this morning. Look at what Eminem has talked about over the last few weeks. I've touched every single series that has taken place in the postseason.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not everyone, because I didn't get into the
Well,
Minnesota
we got
too
9
much.
days,
But you know what I'm
Stephen
saying.
A.
Yeah.
That's right.
Run it
And
up.
I'm being too.
Yeah.
You better make Denver look like the place to be. Okay,
Well, I mean,
Stephen A.
well, listen, I'm gonna make the Nuggets look like the team to
Okay.
watch.
Okay, but JJ,
Not
I
like
like
Denver's
the
gonna
take,
be
I
the
like the
place to
sentiment.
be.
It's a huge opportunity, and it's good for us, and it's good for the league as well, right? More teams that are relevant, small market, more stars, more money for everybody.
And so I understand where JJ Redick is coming from as a basketball purist. You want to talk about what you're seeing on the court and not just the hype of things so much. Stephen A., from the journalistic side, you have to think about it. Stephen A. worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer. He's worked for all of these different newspapers, news publications, and they have to grab the audience, pull the audience in. So a lot of times when we watch these shows, these are regurgitated topics, just flipped and dipped all kinds of different ways. But we'll see, does LeBron have the right teammates? Will LeBron return? Will LeBron team up with Trae Young? But LeBron's name is the constant thing. And what Stephen A. is saying is, when Magic and Bird came around, they sold the entire league themselves. So you were watching other teams. It made like Isaiah Thomas and those guys more important to be able to beat them. You see what I'm saying? So they were the bar, and you measured what the next man did by how they were able to compete against them. And those franchises, I mean, they just happened to be playing for legendary franchises. And that was before the draft lottery. So luckily, the Lakers and the Celtics, they didn't have to worry about Magic or Bird falling to anyone else. And so that sold the league. And then you got Michael Jordan, the air guy, that does all the fancy stuff in the air, lightning fast first step, elite scorer, his tennis shoe takes off. Because I'm old enough to remember when Converse was the shoe and Nike was just up and coming. I remember Converse being that shoe back in the day. But you have MJ come and take off. And so, and I think it's partly because, football guys have helmets on and everything. You could see all the facial expressions and everything of an NBA player throughout the game. It's so individual. They can do moves and they can go 1-on-5 and do different things. Not saying football players can't juke the whole team, but you can actually see on the replay the facial expression of the players while they're doing what they're doing in the NBA. And you can get closer to them on the court. So it's more just personal and individual, whereas the football teams themselves is a brand, no matter how great the player is. Like Aaron Rodgers is with the Jets this year, but the Packers fans are still Packers fans. They ain't going nowhere. LeBron James fans have bounced around from Miami to Cleveland to the Lakers, wherever else he may end up. So it ain't no knock on the sport. It's just the reality of the sport. And that's what Stephen A is hinting at. Like, we have to lead with these click titles to get the maximum eyes on the sport, and then we can talk about Jokic, and then once we pull them in and tie it into LeBron. And JJ is like, wait, we're not talking about this stuff. Now, Stephen A did cover Jalen Brunson and the Knicks quite a bit, but there's other players they feel like should be covered more. But I honestly feel like that's what JJ Redick's platform is for. I feel like he does a good job. If you ain't seen JJ Redick's podcast, he does a great job getting into the purest part of the game, and that's the lane for that. But you got ESPN, who's owned by Disney. They want them clicks. So I used to get upset about them talking about the same old things over and over again. But I understand the business that they're in. And Stephen A and them, they work for a larger entity. So while they may give them some leeway on some of the topics and which way they want to go, the topics are kind of set. And if you go check out Google Trends, right? You could search and see what topics are the biggest, and you can compare them. If you type in LeBron James and other players' names, then LeBron name is gonna be up there at the height, at the top of the top. So it just makes business sense for a corporate entity to continue to use that, and that's why they use the Cowboys so much. I mean, it's the clicks. It's right there in front of you. It's easily researchable information. So if you want a pure sports show, you may have to come, on YouTube, find somebody that talks about that wants, that views and clicks isn't their priority, because they're relying on the algorithm. You may get some people that can slither past the algorithm and come at it from a pure standpoint, but certain things are just going to get you clicks, and that's just always been the name of the game. So I get JJ Redick's frustration with that. Monica McNutt, you could tell she knows basketball. She makes some really good points. She articulates herself very well. Molly said it at the end. She was breaking it down. She said more money for everybody. So this is a money game. And if you led on First Take with, let's see, who's somebody that's playing good? If you just led with Dame every day, or you led, like Dame and the Blazers, or you led with Brandon Ingram, or you led with people like that, it's not going to get you to click. So they have to make the show for a larger audience. Put it like this. You might want a hamburger, but you might want it from someone who has fresher meat on their sandwiches, fresher ground beef. But First Take is like McDonald's. They making it for the masses to come through the line to wrap all the way around the building, and they can just feed everybody something. Is it good for you? No. Is it gonna fill you up for the time being? Yeah, you'll feel like you ate something, but it may not be as nutritious as that thing that you'll be the only person in there getting the order, or you and a few other people might be there getting the order. But the food is way more high quality, and that's kind of how I look at it. And I understand, they just trying to get that cash grab. They're not worried about your basketball brain or what you've actually learned about the sport in that amount of time. Whereas JJ Redick, the way he dissects the game and looks at it, he's looking at it so that his viewers can know more about basketball when they're done watching his show. So I could go on and on about this, man, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.